Male 34, have been with my wife, female 31, for like 6 years, married for 3. We've been saving our asses off for a house down payment, and honestly, it's been pretty stressful. But we're almost there. Or we were supposed to be almost there anyway. Some background that's probably important. I'm probably way too paranoid about money stuff. Like, I check our shared accounts every morning with my coffee, which I know sounds controlling, but hear me out. When I was like 12, my parents lost our house because my mom had been hiding gambling debts for months. Gone. One day, we're living normally, and the next day, we're packing everything into my uncle's basement. My dad had no clue about any of it until the foreclosure notice showed up. So yeah, I have issues with financial surprises. Sue me. My wife knows all this about my family stuff. When we got serious about house shopping, we sat down and made this whole agreement about spending. Nothing over $50 without talking to each other first. Not because I'm some controlling asshole, but because every dollar counts right now and we both agreed on this. We've been so good about it too, like asking each other about gym memberships and even stupid stuff like getting our cars washed. But lately, my wife's been acting really strange about money conversations. Like, she'll change the subject or get all snippy if I ask about random charges. And I'm not talking about interrogating her over coffee purchases. I mean, like, when I see charges I don't recognize and just ask what they were for. Normal couple stuff, right? So last week I'm bringing her coffee while she's on her laptop, and she literally slams it shut when I walk over. I didn't think much of it at first, but I caught a glimpse of the screen, and it was some fancy skincare website. When I asked about it, she said she was just browsing and got all annoyed. Which, okay, browsing is fine, but why the strange reaction? That night I'm checking our credit card, my usual routine, whatever, and there are 3 charges from that exact same skincare website. $180, $140, and $95. That's over $400 in 1 week on skincare stuff. We're supposed to be saving every penny right now, and she's dropping $400 on face cream without even mentioning it. When I brought it up, she got super mad and said we had already talked about the spending rules, and then immediately changed the subject to what we wanted for dinner. But we definitely did not talk about this. I would have remembered a conversation about spending $400 on skincare products. I probably should have pushed harder for an actual conversation, but honestly, I hate confrontation, and I was hoping maybe she'd bring it up herself. Spoiler alert, she didn't. So yesterday was her work happy hour thing. I don't usually go to her work stuff because honestly her coworkers are kind of intense, but she really wanted me there for some reason. I'm trying to be a good husband and make small talk with these people I barely know when this one coworker, who's always been super nosy about everyone's business, starts going off about skincare routines. This woman was literally pulling out her phone to show me screenshots of my wife's Instagram story. Pictures of these ridiculously expensive products she posted just a few days ago. A $180 serum, a $140 moisturizer, and this $95 eye treatment. She's going on and on about how lucky my wife is to afford such an amazing skincare budget and how jealous she is. I'm standing there looking at these pictures and realizing these are the exact products from those credit card charges I asked my wife about, the ones she deflected and never explained. And this coworker just keeps talking about my wife's skincare spending while I felt sick to my stomach. So I probably handled this wrong, but I was just so, shocked. I interrupted the coworker mid-sentence and asked my wife directly about the skincare spending, right there in front of everyone. My wife tried to laugh it off and change the subject, but I kept pushing. I mentioned our house-saving agreement and the $50 limit in front of all her coworkers, who were suddenly looking extremely uncomfortable and making excuses to go to the bathroom or get drinks. I think I even listed specific charges and dates while my wife just sat there looking embarrassed. The whole table got really quiet, except for me basically airing our financial business in front of her colleagues. My wife barely said 2 words the rest of the night. On the drive home, she absolutely ripped into me for humiliating her and making her look financially irresponsible to people she has to work with every day. She said I made her seem like some kind of shopaholic who can't be trusted with money. And honestly, I get why she's mad. I really do. It was not the time or place for that conversation. But I'm also just so frustrated that she's been hiding purchases from me when we specifically agreed not to do that. Like, if she wanted expensive skincare, we could have talked about it. Maybe figured out a way to budget for it or wait until after we buy the house. I tried explaining about my family stuff and why financial surprises freak me out, but she just kept saying I embarrassed her in front of her work friends and made her look like a child who needs permission to spend money. I don't know. Maybe I am being controlling. I never want to be that guy, but I also don't want to end up like my dad, finding out too late that we're financially screwed. And it's not like I'm monitoring every purchase. I just want us to stick to what we agreed on. Am I the idiot for calling out my wife for being shady about money in front of her coworkers? I know the timing was awful, but I was just so caught off guard by finding out she'd been posting about these expensive purchases online while lying to me about them. Edit 1. For everyone asking about the Instagram posts, yes, she had posted pictures of the products, but I don't really follow her social media that closely. I know, bad husband. I probably should have seen them, but I mostly just use Instagram for like sports stuff and memes. Edit 2. A lot of people are saying I should have handled this privately, and you're absolutely right. I was just so shocked in the moment because her coworker was literally showing me evidence that my wife had been lying to my face about the purchases. But yeah, calling her out publicly was definitely the wrong move. Edit 3. To those asking if there might be more purchases I don't know about, honestly, that's what I'm worried about now. If she was comfortable hiding $400 and posting about it online, what else might she be keeping from me? I'm probably going to go through our accounts more carefully this weekend, which I know sounds paranoid, but I need to know where we actually stand financially. Now for the first update. My wife's weird spending was actually about her sister, but now I'm even more confused. Things got worse since my last post. I tried to have an actual conversation about the skincare stuff, and now I'm more confused. So this morning, I made coffee for both of us and sat down to try and talk about the whole work happy hour disaster. I wanted to apologize for embarrassing her, but also get some actual answers about the spending. I figured we're both adults. We can work this out, right? Wrong. The second I brought up the skincare purchases, she got really defensive. I tried to be super calm about it, like, hey, can we just talk about this? But she immediately got defensive and said that was just the beginning. She's also been sending money to family for emergencies, and I wouldn't understand how complicated it is. Which, okay, helping family is important. I get that. But when I tried to understand why she didn't just tell me about sending money to family instead of being secretive about everything, she said I was twisting everything and that helping family is complicated. When I kept asking for specifics, she literally stormed out of the kitchen saying I was being controlling like her ex. Her ex. We've been together 6 years, and she's never once compared me to that asshole. That really stung. But here's the thing that's been eating at me all day. I spent some time going through our shared accounts more carefully. Yeah, I know how that sounds. And there are several other charges over the past few months that I never really questioned. Like a $380 charge at Target that seemed high, but she said it was household stuff. A $250 charge at some medical supply place that she brushed off as family emergency. Even a $180 charge at a baby store that she said was for a coworker's shower gift. I'm not usually this paranoid, but after finding out about the skincare lying, I started adding everything up, and we're talking about way more than the $400 I originally found. More like, I don't even want to say how much because it makes me sound crazy. So I called my sister-in-law tonight. Let's call her Rachel. She works part-time at some retail place and honestly has always struggled with money. So if my wife is helping her out financially, I wanted to make sure she's okay. Like maybe there's some serious emergency happening that would explain all the secrecy. The phone call was weird, really weird. Rachel sounded super surprised to hear from me, which was strange because we usually get along fine. I asked if she was doing okay and if there was anything major happening I should know about. She got all nervous and was like, "Why would you ask that?" And I mentioned that my wife has been stressed about family finances lately. That's when she accidentally said, "Oh, about the money she's been sending," and then immediately tried to cover by saying, "I mean, not that much money," which made no sense. When I asked for details about what kind of emergency, she quickly said she couldn't talk right now and hung up. Just hung up on me. After basically admitting my wife has been sending her money but then acting like it was some big secret. When I told my wife about the call, she absolutely lost it. Started yelling about how I went behind her back to her family and that I don't trust her. She admitted she's been sending Rachel money for emergency expenses, but refused to say how much or what kind of emergency. When I pointed out that Rachel seemed nervous and wouldn't explain anything, my wife said that's because Rachel is embarrassed about needing help. But here's what really got to me. Around 8 p.m., Rachel called back, crying and begging me not to punish my wife for helping her. She kept saying she's in real trouble but wouldn't say what kind. When I asked direct questions about how much money we're talking about and when this all started, she got flustered and started contradicting herself about the timeline. My wife heard the conversation from the kitchen and came over and just grabbed the phone out of my hands, started ripping into me for interrogating her sister and making Rachel feel like crap for needing help. I don't know what to think anymore. On one hand, Rachel clearly does need financial help, and my wife has always been generous with family. Her mom raised her to put family first, and I respect that. On the other hand, the secrecy and lying and the way both of them are acting doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm being paranoid because of my family's money problems, but I don't understand this. If it's just helping Rachel with rent or groceries or whatever, why all the cover stories? Why lie about skincare purchases instead of just saying I sent Rachel some money? Why did Rachel accidentally mention money being sent and then immediately try to cover it up? And honestly, I feel like shit for questioning this because what if Rachel really is in some kind of serious trouble and needs help? What if I'm being a controlling asshole about my wife helping her struggling sister? But I also don't understand why they won't just tell me what's going on. I've been checking our accounts obsessively all evening, and the amounts don't add up to just occasional family help. We're talking about thousands of dollars over the past few months, all with different explanations that made sense at the time, but now I'm not sure. I'm supposed to trust my wife, but right now I don't know what's real anymore. The lying, the defensiveness, the way Rachel acted on the phone, I just don't understand it. Am I being a paranoid control freak for wanting actual answers about where our house down payment money is going? Edit 1. For those asking about Rachel's situation, she's 28 and works part-time retail, lives in a studio apartment, and definitely struggles paycheck to paycheck. She's always been the one who needed help compared to my wife, who got her life together early. So her needing financial support isn't unrealistic. It's just the secrecy that's throwing me off. Edit 2. I know some of you are saying I should just trust my wife about family help, but after my dad got blindsided by hidden debt, I have a really hard time with financial surprises. Maybe I am being controlling, but we specifically agreed to talk about spending over $50, and this is clearly way more than that. Edit 3. To address the comments about checking accounts obsessively, yeah, I probably have issues, but we're supposed to be buying a house in a few months, and every dollar matters right now. Finding out we've spent thousands on emergencies I didn't know about is making me panic about whether we're still on track financially. Now for the second update. I was right to be suspicious, and now I wish I hadn't been. You guys were right about there being more to this story. My sister-in-law showed up at our house this morning and basically blew up my entire marriage. Yesterday after I posted, things got worse between us. After my wife grabbed the phone and yelled at me for asking Rachel questions, we had another huge fight about whether I had any right to question family help. She kept saying it was just emergency money for Rachel, and I was being paranoid. I couldn't sleep last night because I kept thinking about how nervous Rachel sounded on the phone and why she hung up on me so quick. This morning around 7 a.m., I'm talking 7 in the morning on a Saturday, there's knocking on our door. I figured it was an emergency or something, but it's Rachel standing there looking awful, like she hadn't slept all night, which apparently she hadn't. She asked if she could talk to both of us, and honestly, she looked so upset. I was worried something serious had happened. My wife came downstairs in her robe all confused, and the second she saw Rachel, her face just, I don't know how to describe it, like she knew exactly why Rachel was there and was not happy about it. Rachel starts crying immediately, just breaks down and says she can't do this anymore, and she's sorry. My wife tried to cut her off, but Rachel kept going and said she never got any money from us, not a single dollar. Rachel explained through her tears that she was confused when I called yesterday. My wife had told her that if anyone asked about money, she should say my wife was helping her because my wife didn't want people knowing about the coworker. But when I started asking direct questions, Rachel panicked because she didn't know what to say and was worried she'd mess up the story and get my wife in trouble. I'm standing there in my pajamas trying to process this because, what? My wife has been telling me for months she's been helping Rachel with emergencies and rent and stuff, So I asked Rachel what she meant, and she said, my wife asked her to lie about getting money so she could, and this is where it gets really messed up, so she could buy baby supplies for someone at work. Baby supplies for someone at work. My wife tried to do damage control at this point, telling Rachel she doesn't understand the situation and that we should talk privately. But Rachel just kept going and said my wife has been buying hundreds of dollars worth of baby stuff every month for some coworker who had a baby and can't afford anything. Cribs, car seats, formula, diapers, you name it. I pulled out my phone right there and started going through our banking app because I needed to see this for myself. Sure enough, there's charge after charge at baby stores, Target baby sections, Walmart for formula and diapers. That $380 Target purchase my wife said was household stuff. Baby gear. The $250 at the medical supply place, some kind of breast pump thing. The $180 at the baby store that she claimed was for a coworker's shower gift. Obviously way more baby stuff than any normal gift. I added it up right there on my phone while they both watched, and we're talking about over $4,000 in the past few months. $4,000. And those skincare purchases that started all this, turns out those were real. She really did buy expensive products for herself while secretly spending thousands more on baby supplies. So she was hiding both her own splurges and the coworker situation. Rachel looked sick when she saw the actual numbers. She said she had no idea it was that much money, and that my wife told her it was just occasional help for the coworker. My wife started crying and trying to explain how this young woman is a single mother whose boyfriend bailed when she got pregnant, and she's barely keeping it together at work. My wife told us this coworker's work performance was falling apart because she couldn't afford basic stuff for her baby and was constantly stressed about money. My wife felt bad for her and wanted to help, but she knew I would say it was workplace problems and tell her to stay out of it. My wife said she had to help because she saw herself in this young woman's situation. Apparently, she keeps thinking about how lucky we are to have stable finances and how this poor girl is struggling. She got all emotional about doing the right thing and helping someone who really needed it. I asked why she couldn't just, talk to me about it. Like maybe we could have figured out a way to help that didn't involve lying to me for months and using our house money. She said she knew I would think she was being too involved in someone else's problems and would have said no. And honestly, she's probably right. I would have said no to spending thousands on a coworker's baby. But that's not the point. The point is we're supposed to be partners, and she's been lying to my face for months. I told her she needed to pack a bag and stay somewhere else while I figure out if our marriage can survive this. Rachel immediately offered for her to stay at her place, which I guess makes sense since she feels guilty about the lying. My wife started crying harder and saying I was overreacting and that helping someone in need shouldn't be grounds for kicking her out. But I can't trust someone who lied to me about thousands of dollars and dragged her sister into covering for her. This is exactly the kind of financial betrayal that destroyed my parents' marriage. So now my wife is at Rachel's place, and I've changed all our account passwords, and I'm trying to figure out how badly this screwed up our house timeline. We were supposed to close in like 2 months, and now I don't even know if we have enough for the down payment anymore. I keep going back and forth between feeling like a controlling asshole for kicking her out and feeling completely betrayed that she lied to me about this much money. Like, I get wanting to help someone, but this isn't helping. This is basically supporting someone else's entire baby financially without telling your husband. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Part of me feels terrible because obviously this coworker really does need help, and my wife was trying to do something good. But she lied to me for months and used our house money and involved her sister in covering for her. Is it really that unreasonable to expect your wife to discuss spending thousands of dollars with you before just doing it? Edit. 1. For everyone asking about the coworker, I don't know much about her situation beyond what my wife told me this morning. Apparently she's young and the baby's father isn't in the picture and she's struggling financially. I feel bad for her, but that doesn't make the lying okay. 2. Yes, I checked our account balances and we're still technically on track for the house down payment, but barely. If there are any more surprise expenses, we're screwed. 3. To those saying I'm being too harsh, maybe I am, but my dad got blindsided by hidden financial problems and it destroyed their marriage. I can't handle being lied to about money like this. 4. Rachel texted me a few hours ago, apologizing again, and saying she never thought it would get this big. She said my wife made it sound like small amounts of help here and there, not thousands of dollars. 5. I haven't decided what I'm going to do about our marriage yet. Right now, I just need space to process that my wife has been lying to my face every single day for months while spending our house money on someone else's baby.